Game 3 of the NBA Finals is tonight in New York. We're here. Madison Square Garden is hosting a finals game for the first time in 27 years, and I want to preview this pivotal game, mainly what adjustments both teams can make based on their Game 2 performances. Getting right into this, I'm going to start with the Spurs, who are desperate to strike back, show that this series isn't over, and I'm expecting them to come out with a ton of urgency and even desperation. I think the biggest adjustment they should make is going back to guarding Jalen Brunson more like how they did in Game 1. The Knicks are a superb, dynamic offense, but Brunson is the head of the snake and the main focal point of the Spurs' defensive scheme. After Game 1, De'Aaron Fox said that at times the Spurs felt like, okay, anybody but Brunson, let someone else shoot the ball, and we saw that mentality reflected in how they guarded him in Game 2. Hellacious on-ball defense, throwing multiple bodies at him, forcing the ball out of his hands, and quite frankly, that was not a good business decision. The Knicks are the best jump shooting team in the league at this point. They're shooting over 57% on all twos and almost 40% from 3. Mikal Bridges was 8 of 9 on jump shots through 3 quarters in Game 2. Landry Shamet was killing them from 3. Cat, OG Anunoby, Deuce McBride. There is a plethora of supreme shooting talent surrounding Brunson, and they are just feeding off of good looks and late contests with the Spurs loading up on JB. The Spurs should greatly prefer guarding Jalen Brunson in single coverage and making him work against big, strong perimeter defenders like Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper. Brunson has been held to 19 of 56 from the field so far in this series, and a lot of that is because of how intensely the Spurs have been guarding him, but even if he starts shooting a bit better, you just have to live with that over letting guys who are literally on fire take warm-up shots. Yes, you run the risk of him walking you down in the clutch like he did in Game 1, regardless of how many he's missed prior, but that's just the reality in this matchup, and your odds are still much better. The second biggest adjustment the Spurs should make is trying to get out and transition more. Their half-court offense has not been yielding great results so far, and a lot of these Wemby isolation possessions are just coming up empty. The Spurs are at their best turning defense into offense, getting out on the open floor, and letting their athleticism do the heavy lifting. But if they do feed Wemby in isolation, he needs to establish much deeper post positioning, because he doesn't have the skill set to take a dude like Cat off the dribble in space, or back someone down that far from the rim. I also think they should make an effort to attack Brunson more on offense. Harper has had stretches going at him, Castle a few moments too, but the Knicks have largely been able to get away with hiding Brunson on Julian Champagnie, who's their weakest off-the-dribble offensive player. But also, credit to Brunson where it's due. Even when Champagnie attacks, he's more or less been quicker to his spots, so even though he's giving up size, he's held up decently well. Nonetheless, the Spurs could stand to draw him into more actions, and even if he does well, it's still causing Brunson to work a lot harder, and maybe he won't have as much gas at the end of games when he's needed in the clutch. As for the Knicks, heading into Game 3, the number one thing I want to see from them is focus and determination. As I mentioned, the Spurs are desperate, they can't lose this game, and it's super important the Knicks don't come out flat or anxious in front of their own eager crowd. The Spurs are likely to throw the first punch, and the Knicks need to either match that energy or hit even harder, and if they do, they might be in control of the game from there. The next thing is just to keep up all the great ball movement. All that perimeter activity draws Wemby out into space, stymieing his defensive impact, and the relentless effort to create good and then even better shots has been stressing the Spurs defense, and in a similar point to the Spurs involving Brunson, just wears players down over the course of a game, leading to a higher likelihood of mistakes like missing a rotation, turning the ball over, leaving shots short. Speaking of pulling Wemby away from the rim, the Knicks should continue to run a lot of their offense through Karl Anthony Towns. Cat is just a really unique matchup problem for Wemby and the Spurs, who don't have a good answer for him. If Wemby is guarding him, Cat legitimately has a quickness and strength advantage driving to the basket, and if it's not Wemby guarding him, then Cat is just so much bigger than anyone else on the Spurs. And even if the Spurs are by far the best defense this Knicks team has faced, I think it's reasonable to say they could shoot a fair bit better than they have so far. Josh Hart is averaging 1.5 points so far in these finals, but he's liable to hit several threes in a game and break a team's defense. Deuce McBride and Jordan Clarkson could also get hot off the bench, and even Jalen Brunson, for as difficult as the Spurs are making life for him, he's honestly missed a handful of very routine shots for himself. I would expect him to have a half or even a full game at some point where he's just comfortable and in rhythm. Overall, I'm expecting an instant classic tonight. The NBA Finals, back in the Mecca, a crowd and city starved of a championship, witnessing their team be closer to that goal than they have in 32 years. There's really a chance for this to be a seminal moment, not just in NBA history, but sports history. If I had to pick, I'd say the Knicks meet this moment and have a signature performance while taking a 3-0 lead. But the Spurs are ultra talented, young and hungry, and aren't going to relent until they're dead. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leaving a like would be super helpful and much appreciated. Let me know who you think is going to win Game 3. Who do you think is going to win the finals? I'd love to continue the conversation down below. Check me out across socials. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Substack, I'm on Medium. You can't get rid of me. Thanks again. That's all for now. Stay safe and see you in the next one.